everyone, this is David. Welcome back behind the velvet rope. Let's just get right into it today because we are joined by the one, the only Jay Cohn.
Hi,
What's going on? How are you today?
I'm good. It's a beautiful day, like a summer day in the middle of October.
Summer day in the middle of October. Well, listen, Jake makes it easy. I mean, that's a great thing. It is here. It has arrived October 28th at 10 p.m. on A&E's Homemade Nation. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How did this show come about?
It's wild because this was always the dream. This was like the childhood dream. I'm not someone who just like stumbled into food. Like this has always been the plan. And from an early age, I loved all of like the matriarchs of Food Network. So just religiously watched Rachel Ray and Ina Garten and Giada De Laurentiis and uh, I first connected with Rachel when my first cookbook came out, and she's been such a huge supporter of mine throughout my career. So I had done her show a few times. The last time I was at her show, she's like, "Hey, I'm launching this production company, and we want to give you a show." And I was like, "Okay, all right." Like Rachel is gonna give me a show. It's like I know how these things work. Like we'll see what happens, and then next thing I knew, it was like it took a little bit for the deal to like go through, and she got the call of like it's happening, get ready, and here we are.
Wow.
It was a wild ride.
It's a wild ride. Well, listen, I am technically challenged in the kitchen. So when I see a show come out with, a chef that I know and I hear makes it easy in the title, I'm like, okay, David, let's tune in to see what this is all about. So, I mean, that really is the concept of the show, right? I've watched a few episodes, but for everyone who hasn't seen this yet, it's out on October 28th. Tell us about the concept of this show.
The real goal is like I love cooking, not just because I love delicious food, I love to eat. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, it's like you could do that at a restaurant. But the beauty of really learning how to cook and really learning how to uh, cook for those you love, it's about connection, it's about building community, it's about really creating these deep, personal, intimate moments with the people in your world around the table. And I think learning how to make a recipe is just the foundation. Like having recipes that come out delicious, amazing, it's what I do, but that's just like the entry level to what the goal is. The goal is then to like push it further, like how do you make recipes together to create a little party? To really cook for those you love and create that entertaining mindset and have it be really sustainable. So each episode is an entertaining entree and an entertaining dessert that go together. And all you need is I'll tell you, like, all right, throw in some rice or throw in a little side salad, and you got yourself a party.
You got yourself a party. I mean, you say that you really looked up to like the Ina Gartens and the Rachel Rays, and it really started. Like, when did that all start? Like, was it at a very young age? Like, was it your mother? Like, where, I grew up,
Wasn't my
loving
mother.
90210 and Melrose Place. Those were my things. So, like, where did this food connection come from for you?
Listen, I am a man of many nuances. So yes, I would say it was probably around 13. My headspace was like split between religiously watching Food Network and like Flavor of Love and I Love New York. Like that was the vibe. And I think as a result, that that kind of division and the juxtaposition of the two have actually served me so well because I both have this deep love for cooking and doing it publicly, but also this obsession with pop culture and how to integrate really things into the zeitgeist. So it's the only thing I've ever known and loved. It is my sports. It is my everything. I'm on tonight's episode of Housewives of New York because I've just become friends with these women because they're my quarterbacks. They're my Olympians. They are the type of people that I am obsessed with in the same way that I feel about like someone on Food Network who's making a delicious cake.
But we're going to talk about the Real Housewives and the Real Housewives of New York in a few minutes. Did you grow up like growing up? Like, did you have a favorite dish that your mother cooked or that your family cooked?
My mother's not a great cook. I mean, she's gonna hate. She hates that I always say this to her about her. But she had her dishes. So I would say the big thing was like whenever we were sick, she makes an incredible chicken soup. Like that was it. Like and that cure all. And I'll give her that. She makes an incredible chicken soup.
Well, that's more than I can do. So there you go.
Yet.
Yet, exactly. Well, listen, you've written two cookbooks, even on this show, Jake's Makes It Easy, you really have incorporated your, Jewish heritage into all of this. Your cookbooks are Jewish and Kudnash. Like, how important is that to you from one Jewish boy to another?
I would say it's just about kind of really being authentic and my perspective around food and cooking and family and hospitality is so rooted in that like real upbringing around the holidays, really upbringing around like gathering the whole family for like some crazy yuntif. Huh? Uh, uh.
Exactly.
Um, and for me, that was the core of how I began to really learn abundance and cooking for others and doing it through this real lens of love and attention. And so naturally, that's going to be part of the way that I see um, everything, even if I'm cooking Jewish food or not.
Did you, because, like you said, it was always food for you from, day one in pop culture. Like, but right, like Rachel Ray says, we're going to give you a show and we all know how this works. We're both in the industry, but like, how did you have this dream? And like, when is there like a defining moment when you're like, oh, like this went viral or like, what was kind of the first moment for you and you're like, oh, this could kind of be a real career?
Um, I've always known it was going to be a real career. Like I just like there was no world in which it wasn't. I would say the first time that it kind of sunk in that it was happening was because of Rachel, surprisingly. I had done a pre-record for her show to do a recipe for my first book. And it was like something like I shot it on my phone at home. It was very like it wasn't like a big produced thing. I didn't get, this was also during COVID, so I didn't get to like go to the studio, none of it. So I do all of that and I send it in and I'm like, okay, you'll see it when it airs. And it aired on the day the book came out, which was great timing. Good job, my publicist part. But I then watched the show live, and it was the first time I got to see her setting up the segment. And she pulls out my book and starts raving about it in a way that was so affirming. And the way she talked about me and my vision and the way that I conveyed myself in the book, I started hysterically crying. And I'm not a very emotional person. I don't cry very often. And this was like a real like, oh, this is happening. And like I've always known it to be true, but to have it said by her, to have it said on this national platform, it was just like, oh, the world's gonna catch on, which is part of the reason I love pop culture. It's part of the reason I love like everything.
And to have it be done totally authentic, right? Like you could tell when someone's being authentic. So like that was an authentic moment from Rachel Ray, and you're like, I feel this, and there you go, and now you're crying.